name is Ms. White, and I am one of the physical education teachers here at City School. I'm here to talk to you today about selling the Raider t-shirts. I understand you're reading a book right now called The T-Shirt Factory, so you've kind of gotten a little bit of background on what's involved in selling the t-shirts. Here at City School, we've been selling t-shirts probably now for about 18 years. The very first t-shirt that we sold was actually created by a student. We had a t-shirt design contest. It involved the art department and all the unified arts teachers. And all the students in K through 8 were able to submit a design. We posted all those in the big gym, and the kids came through and got to vote for their favorite design. This is the design that won. There were some criteria involved in creating the shirt as to how many colors they could use, that it actually had to have St. Albans City School in it, although there was nothing actually about the Raiders in the shirt. So after that one, I decided that we needed to come up with a t-shirt that actually said Raiders on it and was in our school colors, which is blue and white. The first t-shirt that we sold that actually had Raiders on it was a tie-dye, and it has a pirate logo on it. That logo was designed by Mr. Galley and a couple of his 7th and 8th grade art students. It's very kid-friendly, it's not a scary pirate. There are some other logos around school, especially in the big gym. There's one on the floor and there's one up on the wall of a couple of different pirates. Although the Raider is not really a pirate, and I will get into that in a few minutes exactly what a Raider is. The tie-dye shirt was very popular. We sold hundreds of these shirts. I think that was due to the fact that we'd never had one before. It actually had Raiders on it, there was a logo on it, it was in our school colors. Very popular item. All the items we sell are usually priced 50 cents to $1 over the actual cost of making the t-shirt to the hoodies. We do that to actually raise money, and it's donated to Raider Athletics. It goes into a special account, and Mrs. Trainer uses that money sometimes to help students out who can't afford a pair of cleats or basketball sneakers or other special things that she needs money for. Here at City School, we try to make Fridays a Raider Day. So if you look around, there's a lot of staff members that have their Raider shirts and other Raider stuff on Fridays. So maybe if you actually own a Raider shirt or a Raiders uniform from playing soccer or whatever, basketball, that's something you could wear on Friday, or just wear something blue and white. The actual term Raiders comes from the St. Albans raid that happened back in 1864. There were a group of 21 young men that came across the border from Montreal into St. Albans. They came down in groups of 2 or 3 and pretended to be on vacation, either fishing or hunting or just relaxing. On October 10th, just before 3 p.m., the group came together and claimed they were Confederate soldiers and that they were taking the town. So some of the 21 actually herded all of the townspeople into the center square, which is Taylor Park, and the rest of them went around and simultaneously robbed all 3 banks in town. They gathered up all the horses that were in town, mostly because they didn't want anybody coming after them, and they tried to burn the town down, but that was a failure, and they ended up burning down a woodshed, and that was it. So they took the money they got and took off into Canada, across the border. They ended up getting some people together eventually with some other horses they had and followed them into Canada. The problem was Canada is a neutral country during the Civil War, so they were not taking sides, and they would not give the Raiders back to the U.S. to be prosecuted. So they ended up staying up there, living a life of luxury, kind of were heroes in Canada, but certainly not down here. There were several attempts made to get them back, but it all failed. We did end up recovering some of the money, but not all of it. So that's kind of the claim to fame for St. Albans, and that's where the term Raiders actually comes from. Because a Raider is not actually a pirate, we've been trying to come up with different kinds of logos that involve the actual pirate. And these are several of the things that we've done. keep in mind that we have a very limited market, which means we're only selling to people that are affiliated or actually go to St. Albans City School. Parents, teachers, kids, brothers, sisters, relatives. So the market's pretty limited. So you always want to try and change things up, because if you have the same t-shirt in the same color year after year after year, people are going to stop buying them because they already have one. And why do you want 2 or 3 of the same t-shirt? So one of the things I try to do is change it up a little bit. I've done different colors. I know our colors are navy blue and white, but I've also done royal blue, light blue, some tie-dye, some different kinds of items, hooded sweatshirts, zip-up sweatshirts, long-sleeve tees, short-sleeve tees, some baseball hats, some winter hats. All of these things help sell your product if you can vary it. Even if it does have the same logo on it, if it's a different color or different style, it helps you sell more of your product. So once I pick the logo and decide what kind of product I want to use, I have to go meet with the printer, who's JC Image, right here in town. It's not actually far from school. And I talk to them about the brand or style of shirt I want, or what the hoodie's going to look like, and how much it's going to cost to print the shirt. So there's a price on the actual shirt. The shirt comes blank, it doesn't have anything on it, and they actually print the logo right there at JC Image. There are some things involved in pricing. The size of the logo makes a difference because it's printed, it's called silk screening, and they actually paint on or press on a design on the shirt. So it actually uses paint. The more paint you use, the higher the price. The more different colors you have in your logo, the higher the price is. So we've always tried to keep it down to 1 or 2 colors just to keep the cost of the shirt down. Once I have a cost of what the t-shirt's going to be, what it's going to look like, then I have to create an order form, and there's a lot of information that needs to go on those order forms, as well as it needs to be user-friendly, which means it's easy to fill out. So the first thing you need to have on there, of course, is the customer's name and where to find them. So they either need their homeroom teacher or their community. So once I get the shirt and I need to find them to give it to them, it makes it easy. The other thing on there is I try to explain what the shirt looks like, what color it is, what the logo looks like. If possible, I put a picture of the actual logo on the shirt. I need what sizes are available, how much they cost. Sometimes the larger shirts cost a little bit more money, like the extra larges or double XLs. They're a little bit more than the regular sizes. Sometimes the kids' shirts are less expensive than the adult shirts. So all of that has to be on the order form. How are you going to pay for it? If you're writing a check, you need to put down who the check needs to be made out to, and that would be St. Albans City School. When the checks and orders are due back, the deadline date, and I usually give a little bit of buffer in there because kids are always late, even the adults actually, they're probably worse than kids, getting the order forms and their money back to me. The next thing I do after I have an order form is I need to make multiple copies. I put them together in packets depending on how many students are in each room, and put those in the teacher's mailbox. They give them to you, you take them home, talk to your parents, decide whether or not you're going to buy something, the money comes back. All that usually takes a couple of weeks. Once I get all the orders back, I have to tally everything, and this is the part that gets really confusing. The reason is that if it was just one t-shirt that I was selling, awesome, pretty easy, although it does involve different sizes, so I have to figure out how many kid sizes I need, small, medium, large, extra large, and then how many adult sizes I need, small, medium, large, extra large, sometimes double XLs. So that gets a little confusing with just one item, but when you add a hoodie in there, a pullover hoodie, a zip-up hoodie, maybe some pajama pants, a winter hat, a baseball hat, then the process gets even more confusing. There are a lot of categories, a lot of subcategories, a lot of counting, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and inevitably I end up being off maybe by 1 or 2. So at the end of all this, after I send the order in and the shirts come back, it usually takes about 2 weeks to actually order the tees or hoodies. They come into the printer prints them, gives them back to me. Then I have to, when I get the order, I go through all of it and take out, I usually pile all the sizes and different styles of shirts in piles and count them and check the actual invoice. which is the numbers that the printer thinks is in the box, to make sure it's the actual number that's in the box and the actual number that I need to fill the orders. And then I go through and I pull one paper at a time out, and I look at what they wanted, pull from the piles, put it all together with their name on the pile. Sometimes I wrap a rubber band around it with the actual order form, so it makes it easier to hand it out when it's time to actually deliver them. What's different about how I do this compared to the t-shirt factory, I know the t-shirt factory, she had inventory, which means she had t-shirts on hand in stock. I don't do that, and the reason for that is I don't want to end up with a lot of leftover stock. So when I do t-shirt orders, I actually do an order form, so you buy it, you get it, and I don't have anything left to sell. Number one, it's really hard because I don't know where to put all this stuff. Number two is I might end up with some size that I can't get rid of, so it's kind of a guessing game. If I order too many smalls and not enough larges, then I can't fill the orders. So it just makes it a lot easier if they pre-order them and I get exactly what I need, and then I can just hand them out and be done with it until next year. JC Image is the place that does the silk screening on our tees, and we actually went there last year, took a little field trip over and watched them printing our t-shirts, which was very cool. They have a silk screening machine. Actually, I think now they have two. It looks like a giant octopus. It has all these arms sticking out from it, and on the end of each arm is a board, and they stretch the t-shirt out on top of this board, and then they put the silk screen down. This silk screen actually looks like a stencil. It has Raiders or whatever the logo is cut out in the middle, and it's plastic, and they put it on top of the shirt. And then they have ink, and they have this, it's like a board with a piece of rubber on the end of it. It's very flexible, and they pull the paint across the shirt. And of course the paint fills where the stencil is cut out. So when you take it off, it says Raiders underneath. And then they turn the machine to the next t-shirt and do the same thing, and they turn it again to the next one. I think it has maybe even 8 arms, just like an octopus. And as it's going around, there's one station that it hits that's a heat lamp, and underneath the heat lamp comes on and it helps to dry the logo. That's a one step, one color, and that's why it's cheaper, because it only goes around that thing once, and when it gets back to the person doing the printing, they take it off, and then they place it inside this giant blow dryer. It's kind of like a blow dryer that dries your hair. It has a conveyor belt in it. They set that down flat, and it goes through this machine very slowly, and it blows warm air on it and dries the logo, or dries the ink on the shirt. And then it goes to the other end, dumps it out, falls into a box, and then there's somebody down there that pulls them out of the box, folds them up, stacks them up according to their sizes. 2 colors means that it has to go around on that machine twice. So they do one color, it goes all the way around. When it comes back, instead of taking it off, they put a different stencil on there with a different color. So all the white gets covered up, it's not cut out anymore, it's covered up with plastic. And then the different color is cut out. So if another color was actually light blue, they pull that across. Now you've got 2 colors on your shirt, which is more time consuming, more manual labor, and that goes around. And if there's another color, they do the same thing. They put a different stencil on there, cover up what's already on there, leave open where the new color is, and pull that down and put a new color on. So you can see why the more colors you have on your shirt, the more expensive it's going to be. One of the really cool things about JC Image, instead of just silk screening, they also do embroidery, which is what this shirt is. A lot of the staff have shirts with these logos on them that are stitched in. It's neat because it's done by a sewing machine, but there are probably a dozen or more sewing machines lined up in this big long line, and they're all stitching the same thing at the same time. They put the piece of material in a circle that's kind of a mold, and it keeps the material tight. And they put it on the machine, and it's all computer operated. So they punch in what the logo should be, what it looks like, what color thread is involved, and then it goes under there, and the computer does the whole thing. It stitches it out. It's awesome to watch. And again, with this, the bigger this is, the more thread it uses, the more expensive it is. The more different colors that are in the logo, again, because it has to keep changing the thread and changes the color, that becomes more expensive. JC Image also does banners, they do stickers. We were able to watch them actually stitch the logos, and we were able to watch them print out some stickers when we were there last year. I understand that you might be going again this year to check that out and see how that all works. That would be awesome. One thing I'm doing this year is trying to come up with a different logo. We've had this logo on our shirts for the past couple of years, so I'm trying to come up with something a little bit different, keeping in mind that it's supposed to be kid-friendly. So some of the logos I came up with that I researched on the computer weren't necessarily kid-friendly. So we came down with two, and those have been in the cafeteria, and you've been able to vote on those. One is the flag, and the other one is the circle. Right now it looks like the flag is going to be the one that's going to be on the new t-shirt. So that'll be fun. And it's kind of cool that you guys got to be involved in that process of voting for those. So one of the things I really like from you as third graders, I know your math skills are up there, and I'm sure you're up to this challenge. Last year's third graders came up with a couple of good ideas that I'm going to try this year, and I'd like to see if you can come up with some ideas too. The part that I get stumped on is tallying the orders. It's very difficult. I lose focus, I get kind of bored, and it's a lot of counting, a lot of adding, and it's monotonous. So one of the things I was hoping you could do is take some sample orders that we had last year and go through those and see how you are at tallying and what numbers you come up with and actually adding up checks and adding up money, just so you can see what the process is like. And if you come up with any brainstorms or any nifty ideas that are going to help me out, I would appreciate it. So thanks and good luck.